Picture this, a recording studio somewhere far, far away.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Welcome, Watchers of Illusion, to my Castle of Confusion and episode 379. It's the 14th of January 2020 and I'm looking at Space Harrier on the Spectrum. It's a bit garish. I will warn you now, your eyes will probably melt during this review, but we're going to have a look at it anyway. 48K Spectrum version, by the way. Produced by Elite and developed by, well, you can see there, Keith. Brilliant. So yeah, Elite Systems Limited, and it's obviously the arcade conversion of the same name. Now I've got to say that despite the garishness, which I think black and white would have worked just fine here, because obviously it has distorted the graphics somewhat, it's not half bad. It's certainly recognisable as Space Harrier. I have done the arcade review, so if you actually do want to go back and check, if you go to videos and then go to the search bar, put Space Harrier in, and it'll come up with anything that's to do with Space Harrier, which is an arcade review, I believe, and that's it so far. So I thought we'd have a look at the humble specky version. This, like I said, 48K. So I'm actually quite impressed already that they've fitted so much in to a 48K memory bank. Obviously no music, which is a little bit of a shame. And I don't know whether there was a 128K version released that contained any of the music from the arcade or not. But here we are. I mean, it's even got the end-of-level boss. Check it out. The big sort of dragony thing. I think the only thing for me, realistically, here, and we will go through the normal procedures in a second, but the one thing for me is that you don't see things coming. I mean, they literally just sneak up on you and blast you through out the air. So, but before we get to that, let's have a look at the presentation and graphics of the game. Well, I like the scoreboard at the bottom. I think that's quite nice. It's nice colours. It's not intrusive. See, that's a better colour scheme. Not much better, but it's better. The blue and the white work better together. The yellow and checkered effect just doesn't. But let's get our name in here and we'll go back into the game. So here we are. Stage 1, moot. I don't know what that means, but hey. Anyway, it's done its hardest to be the arcade game. I've got to give it credit here. It's actually not too bad at all. It's quite fast as well, and things just do hit you quite a lot. But let's have a look at the UI. So we've got the you've got your score down in the bottom there, and in the bottom right hand corner you've got your life meter, which we've got 8 at the moment, and as you go up the levels you get an extra one back, which is quite nice. Each level is guarded by an end of level boss, so basically you've just got to trawl your way through and try and get to the end of the stage. Pretty standard really, bit like Outrun in a way. But it's quite nice. Now you can run across along the floor or you can fly. It's up to you. I suggest on the Spectrum version keeping yourself in the air, because the things that come through on the floor just literally will just come out of nowhere and knock you off your feet and lose you a life. Now I think that 8 lives, see, exactly like that. You see, I think 8 lives is actually quite reasonable considering. But once you start picking up the idea of what things are and where things are coming from, you can actually get quite a nice pace on this game. Now, the sound and the music of this game, I'm just going to have to tell you, is very disappointing. But as I said, 48K, you're not going to get a great deal out of it. Even slows down when the boss gets too close to the screen. But you know what? It's impressive the boss is even in the game, so I'm actually quite impressed with that. The one thing that for me is a bit of a headache is that horrible checkered green and blue. It doesn't really work. And they've even tried to put shadows on it. It's, I think, to be honest, you know, the game it's quite ambitious for a Spectrum game, especially, I'm going to keep referring to this, 48K. It's actually not that bad, but maybe if they'd taken the shadow effect off the ground, they might have increased the frame rate a little bit. There we go. The dragon is dead. We're going to move on to the next stage, which should change the colour palette. Yeah, so I'm doing great. There we go. I mean, that's a little better. It's not much better, but it's a little better. The skyline's nice. If you have a look at that, that's really quite pleasant. The enemies are so fast, they come out of nowhere. That's probably going to be the one thing that trips you over in this game a lot. They've tried to keep up with the arcade speed, and maybe some things, some things tend to just sort of pop out of nowhere, and you end up doing a backflip onto the floor, using one of those precious lives. So beware. Anyway, this is the game that inspired the intro of Welcome to the Fantasy Zone. Get ready. Controls, very simple. Left, right, up, down, and fire. That's it. Now, if you push your joystick down, you will land, and you will start running across the floor. But it doesn't keep you down there. You need to keep your finger pressed down on the down button to be able to stay down running on the floor. Otherwise, the game will automatically sort of shoot you back up into the middle of the screen, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Just bear in mind that you won't stay running if you prefer to run on the ground. Then the game will automatically launch you back into the air after a few seconds. I tend to like being in the air more because you can vaguely see things a little bit better in the air. Things coming towards you, stuff on the ground isn't quite as easy to see. You'll see that there's a lot of things that come out of nowhere on the ground levels, like that you might not have seen coming. You know, these rocks just jump in the air anyway, so you could probably just run across the floor and they'll just jump over you. But that's not really the point. But there we are. But it's done it. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, nice and pink. That's lovely. But they've done a really good job of trying to keep it faithful to the arcade. Now, this is a boss here. You've got to basically destroy the stones surrounding the boss, then you can attack the boss itself. Now, this is, like I said, they've done a really cracking job of actually making it arcade perfect. Now, I just think black and white would have worked so much better. And who thought red on cyan was a good idea? Oh, dear me. I mean, the replay factor, let's go to that. This is such a replayable game. You're going to come back to this time and time again. If you're a completionist, you're going to love this game, and you're going to come back to it over and over again, just so you can get that little bit further. That's where I think the comparisons to Outrun really kick in a notch. You really want to get that little bit further in each level. Each level does have a variety of different bosses and enemies to deal with, which is nice because it gives it a bit of variety. Now, your age range looking probably around 12 years plus, just because it's quite difficult in places. It's not unpleasant. I mean, I would say that if you want to try it at a younger age, yeah, go ahead, because at the end of the day, what you got to lose? Nothing. At the end of the day, this is an arcade conversion, so if you found Space Harrier on the Arcade Challenge, this is probably going to match that. But it's a decent conversion, and you know, I'm actually really quite pleased I've chosen this one today. Sometimes you pick up a game and it's an absolute stinker, but yeah, I quite like this. It's a good effort from a decent company. Now, if you probably remember, Elite did Frank Bruno's Boxing, and they also released Commando as well, which again, two pretty damn good games, to be honest with you. Frank Bruno's Boxing, something I must look at down the line sometime. Commando, I think I've already done, so have a look at that. I believe that was the Spectrum version as well, actually. But yeah, it's a very, very good conversion. It's a what is it? It's like a, I don't know what we'd call this really. A shoot 'em up, but what would it be? Scrolling? Not really. I don't know. Sort of pseudo 3D shoot 'em up, I guess. There we are. And it's one player, which is, you know, faithful to the arcade as well. The arcade was only one player as well. So there we are. But yeah, it's Space Harrier. It's as faithful as you're going to get it on the Spectrum. It's not bad. It's thoroughly playable. You've just got to be on the ball with what's coming towards you, because it does tend to just fly out of nowhere. But, you know, that's what gives it the challenge rating. And the other thing is you can also redefine your keys. So if you actually want to play on the keyboard, you can. I used the old OPQA and space when I was playing it on my Spectrum, and I'm using a joystick now. I don't. These days, it doesn't really matter what you use. Both things are responsive. It's up to you, personal preference. A lot of joysticks are supported here, so give it a go. If you're a Sega fan and you enjoyed Space Harrier on the arcade or the Mega Drive or whatever, have a look at the Spectrum version. I promise you, if you like those, you're not going to be overly disappointed by this, because probably the only thing that could have been a bit better is the colour schemes on the ground. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. You keep it retro, and I'll catch you next time. Hello to new subscribers. You guys are awesome. Hello to my existing lot. You guys rock. Anyway, I'll catch you soon with a brand new review. Until then, bye for now.